Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Strain coming at you with Ration Mashup number 7. I have 2 more of these bags to go. And I said last time I would be on probably about 8:45, but, well, I am on here now, so it's a little after 8:30 U.S. Central Time. And on the stove, I have my pot for my hot drink and my side, and my pot for boiling my entree. I'm not using ration heaters, since some of these pouches are too big for some of the ration heaters that I have. They will fit in others, but I am building up my supply of those. I figure I can just boil it in the less time than it would take for the ration heater to go off and to heat the food, and plus it wouldn't be quite as hot. So I figured that I'll keep doing it that way, and it seemed to work pretty well last year, and it's working well this year. So tonight I am using the grain tray that I found on eBay that has a little cup and bowl. The only thing that's different between those two is the fact that the cup has a little tiny handle on it. There is Will from Just in Time Prepping. I had just decided to come on. I have yet to start pulling stuff out of the bag. And so this will be mostly American stuff, but I have a Russian item and I have a Polish item. So my cold drink will be this tropical punch beverage powder, and that will go into my drinking jar. My hot drink, this is going to be the G7 coffee, which has become my go-to camp coffee after I got introduced to that a couple of years ago at the first YouTuber meetup that I was able to attend. Someone had given me a few of these and I liked them, so I have bought more, and then last year someone had given me a few more, so I hadn't got into the bag that I bought. But these are 3-in-1 coffee. And at camp, when I'm usually doing this, I usually have 2 of these. And since I had an odd number of these, I figured, you know what, I'm going to throw it into a Ration Mashup. So that will go into my foreignemery.com mug. And the entree will be beef roast with vegetables. And this is packed in 2017, at least that's what it looks like to me. This is a halal one, so these still come in the boxes, the halal entrees do. Then I have an apple cinnamon first strike bar. This is the plain wheat snack bread, not the multigrain one. And to go on that, this is a Polish jam, which I've had for quite some time. So this is one of the berry ones or the currant, I can't remember which one. And as a side for the beef, this is the Russian potatoes. The Russian instant potatoes are one of their newer packs. It actually has, there's a company called Preston, and this is in the English letters instead of the Cyrillic as in this one. So I'm going to mix that in this bowl, and then I'll probably use one of these boxes to cover it. See, I see someone else had dropped in here. Nope. And then the dessert, I'm just using an older halal meal bag. You know, the ration bag is my storage bag for these. This is a butterscotch pudding, and these halal certified puddings are slightly different in texture and maybe a little in flavor than other puddings that you might find. It has a bit of a grainy texture. I'm not bothered by it, but some might be. Again, this one is also 2017 when this was packed. And this was packed by Sapaco. See, this one took a bit of a hit, but this one also has Sapaco on here. Might not be able to see it. The shadow is from my phone mount. So the only thing that will go into boiling water will be this. So this is the pouch that will go into the boiling water. And these puddings are not like the British puddings, which are more of a cake with a sauce on it, than an American or French pudding. So this is it has a consistency of you can hear it shaking there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put my drink mixes into I'll put the coffee into my foreignemery.com mug. This G7 is found either online, you can find it on eBay or Amazon, or you can find the Asian stores because it is a Vietnamese coffee. So it has the creamer and sugar already in it. And after I got introduced to it in 2018, I was hooked. Well, this one didn't quite rip the way it was supposed. That's okay. I solved that problem. I like to do these like this because, you know, some of these powders will create such a cloud that you feel like you're going to lose half of it to the air. So there is the tropical punch powder. some reason this one has a tear notch here, but I'm actually going to use this little knife that I got from Minotaur Trading Company, which I opened up in my one of my recent mail calls. These Russian instant potatoes have additional ingredients like garlic and onion. And they have a little bit more of a yellow color. It might not show up well on camera, but it definitely is more of a yellow color than instant potatoes you might get here in the U.S. So I'm just going to set all these aside. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go put this into the pot on the stove, and then I will come back with, actually before I do that, because these cold drinks have a tendency to take a longer time to dissolve, at least the American ones do. I'm going to go ahead and take my foreignemery.com spork. I should have put just a little bit more in there. See, I'll mix this first, that way it'll have more time to dissolve, because some of these powders are notorious for not dissolving very fast. And I use cold water right out of the fridge. Some may not do that. Some may use room temperature water. But I just like to have a cold drink that's actually cold. I will mix this again later. My full mount shakes a little bit because this table is, it's actually a camp table that replaced the smaller wood TV tray that I used to use. I got this because I needed more space to spread things out on, especially when getting into more complex things. So I will sit this back here. I'll go put this in the hot water. Dub C is in the house. Thanks for dropping in. I got the beef stew, and I'm going to pair that with some Russian instant potatoes, and I'll be right back. I'm doing the potatoes by eye because, Yeah, that can depend on what consistency you like your potatoes. Of course, I'm doing this with my left hand because I'm holding my pot in my right. I will set this off to the side. Actually, I will put my wheat snack bread right on top of it. Now I'm going to mix my coffee. If you have never had this 3-in-1 coffee, I highly recommend it. It's got a great coffee smell. The creamer and sugar are just right. It's got a little bit more of the coffee flavor than, say, the Nescafe 3-in-1. Or even the British Ration 3-in-1 coffees that I've had from some ORPs. Now that that's mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and put that back there. See, these cold drinks, some of these, especially the red ones, have a tendency to have this stuff float up on it. So I'm going to give this another mix. These usually get 2 or 3 mixes before I even take the first sip of it. I don't know what it is about these red colors that are used, but I think they can be changed without too much difficulty. This apple cinnamon first bar had this before. It actually is slightly different. It's not quite as shiny as, say, the chocolate, the mocha, or the cran raspberry First Strike bar. And it tastes like that there's a little bit more of an oat flavor in there, almost like an oatmeal cookie flavor. I'm shaking down the pudding before I open it because I want to have a pretty clean open. So this has the tear-nash that goes across the side, and I'm going to go ahead and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something different instead. I'm going to cut it across top since I'm into fact, I think I may put that over here. Oop, that didn't work. I cut kind of crooked, so. There we go. That is the butterscotch pudding. It looks a little lighter, probably because of the lights that I have above and to the right. And by having my wheat snack bread sitting on top of my potatoes, that kind of warmed it up a little bit. Although I just had to wipe it off because of the steam. Whoa! I did not expect that. There's two of them. And they're really thin, almost cracker thin. So I can have me a jelly sandwich. Or what I could do, there is a popular dish here, at least in the Midwest, known as a hot beef sandwich. And basically what that is, you would take your 2 pieces of sandwich bread, put them down on the plate, put your, put amount of mashed potatoes in between them. Say they're like this, and then you put the amount of potatoes in between, and then you put your thinly sliced beef on, and then you put a beef gravy over the top of the whole thing. I can smell the garlic in these mashed potatoes, and the onion too. So what I think I'll do, I'll use, I'm actually going to tear this in half, since I have 2 pieces. And I'll just put the jelly on this one. potatoes, at least most of it here, in the middle. Will have a gravy already in it, so I love the Russian potatoes. Those are pretty darn good. The U.S. Potatoes need to be like that. This jelly is almost as thick as what we would call a cranberry sauce or jellied cranberry here. There. So this will not spread all that well, but maybe what I'll do, I'll just take this half. Oh, there you go. There is my jelly sandwich. I just had to finish the potatoes out of that bowl. Now what I'm going to do is my beef stew should be done. I'll go get that and I'll be right back. I am back. I'm just drying off the pouch. Now this one, I am going to go with the sideways tear notch since I'm going to be covering up. Put that back there. Since I'm going to be basically covering up the bread and the potatoes. That didn't quite tear all the way across, but it'll work. Whoa, that was not what I expected either. It felt pretty chunky, but I didn't think it was going to be one huge lump of meat. Oh well, but that'll work. I can just chunk it up. So this is almost like a meatloaf. I was expecting the beef to be in smaller pieces instead of one huge slab. But that's okay. We will go with it. So this is a big chunk of the beef with the gravy and a little bit of the potato on it. And there is, I don't know how well you can see that. That's what the inside of it looks like. The texture is kind of like a meatloaf. I'm just taking some of the gravy and putting it over the potato. See, there is little bits of potato in there, little potato dice. There's seasoned different than the instant potatoes. There's also carrots in here, so there's carrot in front of the potato. The carrot is quite soft, a lot softer than the diced potato. But you can still get the flavor of the carrot. Adding the Russian instant potatoes to this, basically making what we would call a hot beef sandwich. Yeah, this is definitely the way to go. I'm going to bring one of these big hunks of meat over to this side. What I'm also hoping for is when you get a hot beef sandwich, because you're put that plain bread, not only gets softer, but it takes on the flavor of what you put on it. So there is a piece of the bread. that definitely helps out that bread. It's not so dry. It takes on the flavor of the gravy and the meat and the potato. So that definitely would be an enjoyable meal. I haven't had a hot beef sandwich in quite some time, so I know what I'll do with this. And having a good cup of coffee makes it even better. Yeah, I really like that that G7 coffee. And in local stores here, as well as online, you can buy that either in individual packets, like I just showed. You can buy it just straight black, or with just the creamer in it, no sugar, or in a couple of different roasts. So it's a really, really good coffee. So yeah, if you've never tried the G7, I highly recommend it. I'm giving my tropical punch another stir. It just tastes like Hawaiian punch, that's all that is. But the Hawaiian punch does not have that extra stuff in it that this has. It gives when I finish this off, my drinking jar will have a red residue in it. But, it washes out. This is my jelly or jam sandwich. It's a raspberry jam. That's what this is. There's a whole different flavor with just that bread by itself from what I've decided to do to it. I don't know if any other reviewer has ever done anything like this with the wheat snack bread, the beef stew, and instant potatoes. This would be this is definitely worth trying. So if you've never done it, like that, I would definitely go for it. I'm going to check the chat. A hidden numismatist is in the house. Yeah, sorry for not checking the chat. I guess I'm just too busy feeding my face. Yeah, you should try this if you've never had a hot beef sandwich. Even if you don't do it with ration components, you should try it. If you get, say, thinly sliced roast beef and some beef gravy, make up some mashed potatoes, season them up how you like, and then put your bread down on the plate on either side of a mound of mashed potatoes. Put the beef on, and then put the over top of everything, and that will get you one heck of a filling meal. I don't know if that is something that would be popular in Canada as it is down here. Might be something to ask Smitty or CT or a Canadian friend that I have who lives in southern Ontario. But there's a truck stop in eastern Iowa that I used to go to with my family a lot when we were in that area a lot, and they had the best hot beef sandwiches you could ever ask for. Unfortunately, that place closed down quite a few years ago, and I'm bummed that it's gone because it had the best hot beef sandwiches I've ever had. I'm going to go ahead and take a bite of this first strike bar. This is the apple cinnamon. The texture is a little bit coarser. It's almost like a cereal bar with this outer coating on it. So the cinnamon is definitely there. The apple is there. So it tastes like an apple cinnamon cereal bar, but it's just in the form of these first strike bars. So it's slightly different. It still has the crunchiness that the other first strike bar flavors have, but it's just a little bit more, at least to me, it's more like a cereal bar, but it's still not bad. Now this is that butterscotch pudding. Wow, That's not what I expected. This butterscotch pudding used to have more of a grainy texture. I think they changed the recipe in this because this is like a butterscotch pudding that you would either make from a mix or that you would buy prepackaged in a store. This is not that grainy stuff that I remember from older halal rations that had this as a dessert. The previous butterscotch puddings I've had were from, say, like 2015 or earlier. And those had that grainy texture to it, so that's a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it's very, so, because these are 2017, the entree and the dessert, they've definitely changed that. Well, this is turning out to be a more of a surprising meal than I anticipated. You know, in a good way. You know, good surprises, and although I did not expect the meat to be all in one huge slab, but that's okay. You know, I go with it. Oh, I have two more of these mashup bags. One is a vegetarian, and I'll probably do that one next week. I've been switching off between the vegetarian entrees and the ones with the meat, just to kind of change it up. So I'll do that last vegetarian one next Sunday. And that one probably will be closer to 8:45 Central Time. You know, I thought tonight would be, but nope, I was able to get on here at about 8:30. So, you know, sunsets are getting later by you know, a minute or two each day. So that will push it back, and I'll have one more week of these later meals. Then I'll go back to my usual time of 6 p.m. Central. Although I have done it at 7 or 6:30 or 7. So if it's better that I stick with a little bit later time, yeah, I'll do that. So it allows some people to get in who were otherwise missing my 6 o'clock start, and for some who are usually on in my 6 o'clock streams can't make it at this time, but you know, it is what it is. So, but after so next Sunday will be the last Sunday in Ramadan, and I'll go back to my normal. I may go back to my normal start time, or I may go with 7 o'clock. I don't know. Maybe I'll put up a poll on the community tab of my channel page to see what people think. You know, which way I should go. With the start time after Ramadan ends. Even though this beef is heavily processed, it still has a good flavor. It's like a meatloaf instead of a stew with separated beef chunks. So I don't know what happened there, but you know, this has turned out to be pretty good. There is Sheepdog Construction. He is dropping a super chat. Thanks a lot for that. Saying a good old hello to everybody. Oh, you should check out the Sheepdog's video of a very unusual, I'll just call it a vehicle, construction vehicle. I won't tell you what it is. You'll have to go check it out for yourself. See what that thing looks like, because it is unique, and that's all I'll say about that. You have to go check that out. But yep, he's the one who dropped that super chat. I thank him for doing that. That little bit will go towards the channel, something in the future, whether it be doing something like getting my home internet restored after a long delay of not having it for a lot of reasons. And then, of course, I had to put it on tension because some nuthead cut the cable that feeds my apartment. But I got it back on. So since I've had the home internet, I haven't had the buffering or other interruptions that I had when I was just using my hotspot. Of course, I will keep that hotspot because if my power goes out, I still have internet access with that thing. But yeah, I can buy some gear to test. I can get something that might improve my video production. Of course, now that I do have internet access, some more memory cards for them. So shooting with those cameras instead of relying solely on. So right now I have one memory card in each, and I need to get some more memory cards. So maybe with the next payment that I get, yeah, I'll probably send it for an MRE. Well, well, I might do that. It all depends on if there is a hot ticket ration that I would love to get that I otherwise might not be able to get. But, that one time I had a chance at a CR1M. I did get that, even though the mains were filched. Foreignmemory.com put 2 substitute mains in there, and that made it a great ration. So I was very happy about that, and that was still a great ration even with American mains put in there. The rest of that stuff was pretty darn good. And yes, I did eat the rest of that Vegemite that was in there. I put it on bread. In the following week, I would have a little bit of that on a piece of bread or some crackers. So, some people would like that kind of thing. Some may not. I actually liked it. I've never had a similar thing called Marmite. What would be fun to do would be to do an actual comparison of those two items, see the difference and similarities between them. That might be fun. I would love to get some more foreign rations, but with all the crap that goes on around trying to get those, it's hit or miss when you try to get those, because you never know if customs agents will filch the mains out of it or leave it alone. And speaking of foreign MRE, they have full cases of U.S. MREs that you can buy without having to buy the individual ration itself. You can get a full case A or a full case B. So if you're looking to get a full case all at once, there is a source. And I watched their video of Art and Nina unloading their first delivery of those. And I bet you two were dog tired after moving and stacking all those boxes. And speaking of cases, underneath this table I have my 2016 Sapaco case of 14 rations, and after I get done doing the mashups, I may either go ahead and get into that, or I may do that brown bag that I got from Art and Nina. And plus, I have that old, that brown pouch bread that is a whole lot different in shape and thickness than these wheat snack breads. So when I open that emery, I will have that bread along with it, or at least I'll open it up and find out if it's edible. But I am very interested to see what that one is going to be like, since that one was the first generation of the brown bag MRE. So that one would be the oldest ration food I would have be getting into. Although I do hope to get some the C ration type things, the cans, from the MCIs, the Meal Combat Individual. That's what they called those box rations with the cans. And the ration cold weather, I would love to try one of those and see what those are like. Oh, this G7 is so good. I might have to just make that my regular home coffee brand. I might have to just start buying bags of that and then just pouring it into my my coffee container that I'm currently using. Because right now my my home coffee is Maxwell House. I got a good deal on it. It's either that or the Folgers or store brand. But yeah, this G7. There is James Ortiz in the house. Thanks for dropping in. You just missed me eating a hot beef sandwich, rations style. The wheat snack bread that I had was actually 2 pieces. instead of one piece. And what I did was I took one of the pieces of the snack bread, I broke it in half. Then in this bowl, I mixed up the Russian instant potatoes. Those are the best instant potatoes that I've had so far, from that Preston brand that comes from a Russian ration. So I put that in between, I put a pile of those potatoes in between the two halves of that snack bread. And then that beef stew, which turned out to be one big chunk of meat that I broke up with the carrots and diced potatoes in it. I put that on top of the potatoes and the bread. And that made a ration version of, well, at least I know here in Iowa and the Midwest as a hot beef sandwich. Oh, yeah, those Russian crackers, they're great in soups. Yeah, because I'm going to be making some soup later on. I have those other Russian crackers that were in that box that you sent me along with that MRE, and yeah, they're great in soup. I'll probably instead of just snacking on those, I'll probably just put those in a soup because I'm going to be making some kind of soup probably later this week. I bought some halal stew beef from a store that is owned by some friends. I've directed some non-Muslim friends to going there if they have a hard time finding meat that other stores might either be out of or limiting. So I said, go to Halal, you can get some meat there. The only thing you can't get is pork. In fact, on the way to my mom's apartment, I was talking to my oldest sister about food, and I was telling her that I'd picked up some meat from Hilal, and she was asking about garam masala, and I said, if you want garam masala, you can go to Hilal and get it. There's different brands of it that you can get. And I told her about another one called the 7 Spice. It's on the order of a Chinese 5 Spice, but with different spices in it. It's a different blend than garam masala. But yeah, if you want garam masala, I would suggest go to a Middle Eastern store. That way you don't have to order it online and just wait for it and hope that you can get it, in a timely manner. So I bet she'll do that. I'm going to check the chat again. Yeah, the only Russian crackers that I did not get in that last bunch was the blue label, the one with the blue writing. I got the green one, the brown one, the purple, and the one with just the black writing. But the blue ones, yeah, I don't have those. But actually, that might be something to just do a direct comparison of all those different Russian crackers. See, the one with the brown color, and it's a totally different texture. So I've never tried those before, so I'm not sure what those are like. But yeah, when I bust into those will definitely be. Now this butterscotch pudding in the earlier versions of the halal USMRE had a grainy texture. This stuff does not. It's like any other pudding that you would get. So I think they changed the ingredients or how some of the ingredients are processed. A lot better. And some people were put off by the texture, that older butterscotch pudding. So yeah, so that's a definite improvement. Yeah, if only these red drinks could be improved. The flavor is fine, but I don't know if you can tell. Might not be able to tell on camera, but I can see a red film that coats the inside of my drinking jar. It does wash out, but that's the one that does it the worst. Some of the orange drink powders from American Rations can do that, but not to the extent that the red ones do. So I don't know what it is about the red colors that leave that weird film, but that can be a bit of a downer. Oh, that's a good that's a good taste. I'd take a bite of this apple cinnamon first strike bar, and then I'd take a drink of that G7 coffee. Yep, I think I might have to switch to this as my home coffee of choice instead of just my camp coffee, because I really like it. But I would probably have to get 2 bags to fill my one of my plastic coffee containers that I have recently emptied. I saw those plastic containers, by the way. They're good for storage. You can store items in, organize it. You can use it for like small office supplies, art supplies. Yeah, there's a YouTuber who uses them to sort out his smoking woods for his smoker. You know, the wood chips. He'll put hickory in one, he might put oak in another, he might put apple in another, you know, just like that. So, actually, this gives me an idea. I'm going to dip this bar in this pudding. That's okay, but the butterscotch kind of overpowers the apple cinnamon. But still not bad. But I think I'll just stick to eating these separate, since they're actually, I don't know if you noticed on this side, maybe it's because it was bent a little bit. You can actually see some of the the crispy pieces and probably bits of oat that are in here, because it does taste like there's oats in here. I think someone might recognize this mug too. I was just checking the chat to see if anyone had put anything new in there. But okay, next week will be actually closer to 8:45 Central. I thought tonight would be, but nope, I got online at around 8:30, so the sun sets later and later each day, so that pushes the time back when I break my fast, and then I get my table set up, and I get my pots going on before I break my fast, so I can sure use it. So that's of course, this thing is just what I use to carry my mains in here, just so I can catch any drip, and then I just wipe it down with a paper towel. So but I've gone a little over an hour, so is there anything else that anyone wants to ask or just chat about before I call this one done? Since all I have left is a little bit of my pudding, a little bit of my first strike bar, and my coffee and my tropical punch. Hawaiian Punch wannabe, that's what I'll call it. The Hawaiian Punch, the real stuff, does not have that film on there, or leave that red residue in your glass like this stuff does. So again, I want to thank Art for dropping that super chat, and I usually explain every time how a super chat works, but everybody in here knows how that works, because they've either seen it in other live streams or they've dropped super chats that but you know, it's not hard to do that. If you have the spare coin to drop a super chat, you know, I don't ask for it, just like I don't plug my Patreon, even though I have a Patreon account. And, you know, I got all my donation info in my channel description on the About page. So, yeah, I don't actively plug those. I just leave them there in case someone wants to drop a little coin. They're just vehicles for doing that, and the super chat is just one other way, in addition to the ad revenue that I get. But yeah, I just leave those there. I may start plugging those a little bit more, or I may mention it once in a while that I do have the Patreon, and I've used GoFundMe in the past, and I still leave that one active. And you know, there's my email address for PayPal, which is email address then I it's a way I can keep some things separate. That way my one inbox is just not overwhelmed with stuff. I can split it in between a few emails. So yeah, I just separate things like that. So I just leave those there in case people want to drop a little coin that way. And membership, I haven't turned that on yet. So again, that'll just be one more thing that people can do if they want. Other channels have done it. I'm just going to try it, see how it works. Some choose not to do it, even though they may be eligible to do it. It's just something to experiment with, just see how that goes. These are hard times for everybody, so that's why I don't actively plug things like that. I just put it there, and people do as they please. I have yet to receive anything on Patreon, but it's just there. I put it there. They can see it in the about info, and they can do it or they don't. It's totally up to the viewers to decide that. And the same with the channel membership. I'm going to shoot a video specifically for that, and probably once I get that uploaded, then I will go ahead and turn that on, and it'll just be something different for people to see on my channel. And if people want to do it, it's fine. If not, that's fine. So but earlier today I was out with my mom at her apartment with my sisters and my great niece. We had a good time. One of my sisters bought lunch, but because I'm fasting, I did not eat anything while there. I brought it home. And it's a food from a place here called Mullets, spelled like, the haircut, Mullets. It's just called Mullets, and they do some seafood and your typical diner fare, sandwiches, chicken. They have a few items that popular with kids, like the chicken strips. Although my great niece actually got what's called the minnow bucket, which is pieces of deep fried bluegill, clams, so that's what I ordered, and I brought home, and I'll eat that for supper tomorrow. So but yeah, had a good time with my mom. My sisters brought her a bunch of food, so that she has been sticking close to home, only going out to doctor's appointments. So my sisters have been shopping for her, and I took something over to her also. So yeah, Mama's doing good. She is just anxious to get out and do more things, but like me, she has to have a driver. So yeah, it was good to hang with Mom. So I just wanted to get that in. But if there's not anything else, anyone who wants to flap their cyber jaws about, go ahead and call this one done. Hand it off to YouTube to process it, and I'll put up some more stuff later. This coming week I got coming to me to be delivered. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call this one done. So thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.